Across the ancient world, one idea is cut into stone again and again. In the deserts of the American Southwest and across the globe, this shape appears in symbol and architecture, leaving us with two questions. Where did this begin, and how did it spread so far? I'm Christine. I'm an anthropologist, and you're watching Unforgotten Past. We began our story in Chaco Canyon, where the T-doors aligned with the sun and moon. But the pattern doesn't end there. It crosses mountains, jungles, and time. In this episode, we are going further south, where it becomes something different again. Now carved into megalithics of andesite and granite, by a people who carved geometry as their scripture and used the T in a way that no other culture has. In episode 2, we crossed the mountains and jungles of Mesoamerica, where the shape became language. Now we cross the equator into the high Andes, where the T changes from being a symbol to megalithic engineering. We begin at Pumapunku, built by the Tiwanaku culture, master engineers of the Altiplano plateau. Here we find the Gate of the Puma, dated between 500 to 1000 CE, during the Tiwanaku era of monumental expansion, where the T helped them rewrite the rules of architecture. Massive andesite slabs, faces smoothed with precision, joints that appear woven in place. But this is what we're here for. These giants are identical, angle for angle and groove for groove. They appear manufactured. An H block is two T's fused back to back. Now it's decoration, symbology, and mechanical geometry. A structural language, a system. And where you find the H, you find the T. In the Andes, it becomes technology. It becomes engineering. Integrated into their architecture, built into how stones connect, how forces lock them together, and how enormous structures hold their own weight. Deep T niches, some shoulder deep, others only shallow sockets, waiting for the material that locks them together. Copper clamps poured into dovetail slots, T and I-shaped geometry. Not ornament here, engineering. A shared system across the Andes. Why were these buildings so precise? Only a structure? The manifestation of their belief system? A message? Whichever they are, they align to the sky with surgical accuracy. This wasn't mere architecture. This was choreography. And if Pumapunku is a lesson in geometry, Aramu Muru is a lesson in wonder. Because this doorway doesn't lead anywhere at all, and that is exactly what matters. Head southeast, near Lake Titicaca, to a territory once home to the Tiwanaku, Lupaca, and Inca peoples. And here we reach a place called the Gate of the Gods. This is Aramu Muru, a 7-meter stone panel carved into a cliff, and at its base, a 2-meter T-shaped niche, polished to a smooth, glass-like finish. The symbol carved into the mountain. Why carve this, and why this precision? A modern legend says it was a portal. A priest can place a golden disc into the recess, and he vanished into thin air. Archaeologists say that it is unfinished stonework and abandoned. Maybe, but abandoned work is rarely highly polished. The ratios here match Pumapunku, and the angles match Pumapunku. Two sites, hundreds of miles apart, the same geometric language. Coincidence or continuity? Because here, the T isn't a symbol, it's a threshold, a place where something changes. Across the Andes in Bolivia, Peru, and Ecuador, the same engineering fingerprint repeats through generations of different cultures. At Pisac, we have the sunrise niches. Built during the Inca imperial apex around 1400 CE, we find trapezoidal openings, T and I-shaped clamp sockets echoing Tiwanaku. At Ollantaytambo, an Inca royal estate and fortress around the same period, here we find pink granite blocks with the same clamp geometry seen at Pumapunku. At Ingapirca, we find constructed by the Cañari, then later rebuilt by the Inca around 1400 CE, we have the imperial stonework using that same toolkit, precise niches, socket stones, and tight joints. At Sillustani, we have funerary portals, built by the Koya culture around 1200 to 1450 CE. Chullpa towers with inverted T-shaped recesses. The function here is still debated. At Cutimbo, we have carved thresholds, a ceremonial complex of the Lupaca and later the Inca around 12 to 1500 CE. These T-like recesses are framing ceremonial and structural spaces, just like in the Southwest United States. Aramu Muru. This is the House of the Serpent, a ritual site associated with the pre-Inca traditions, later adopted by those Inca priests. Recesses that echo proto-T geometry, wider at the top and narrow below, this transitional form. Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, the spiritual center of the Inca Empire around 1400 CE. These niches that widen at the top and narrow at the bottom, bridging rectangular recesses and T-logic. Across these sites, thresholds and alignments repeat again and again. A language of architecture and deliberate alignments.
So tell me, where do you find you get the most sun?
The symbol changes and the languages fade. Empires fall, but this one shape survives them all. Our trail doesn't stop in the Americas. It continues. In the next episode, we trace the T backwards in time, across the ocean, to the Old World, to discover whether this shape is a coincidence or a key player in a worldwide legacy.